Whoa, I'm your host, Andrew Argue, here at the Bean Counter. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you're somebody who's about to get your first job, about to go in there in your first week of your internship, first day of a new career, this is the video you need to watch. All of the things you need to be thinking about for a successful transition from being a student to a professional. What are the things you should be thinking about beforehand, before you start on that day one? And what are the things you can do in that first couple months, that first year, to really set you apart from the pack and set your stage for the rest of your life? If that's you and that's something you're interested in, stay tuned for the rest of this video. All right, so let's get right into it. We're going to talk about 3 things that you can do before you start your first career, your first job, or even your first internship. And then we're going to talk about 4 things afterwards. I've been giving these presentations for a number of years. It started when I was on the Beta Alpha Psi board of directors. I go around the country to these conferences. It's sort of evolved since then. This is also going to be a condensed version. If I were to come and give this presentation at a conference or at your university for a Beta Alpha Psi chapter meeting, it might be an hour. We're going to try and keep this a little shorter. So 3 things you can do before you start your first job. The first one is going to be to pass the CPA. Now, for those of you that don't know, I've recently partnered with Roger CPA Review. I'm going to put a link down below to their website. You can also check it out in the CPA exam section on my site. Roger is an awesome guy, super charismatic. It's been a great guy to work with since we have started this partnership, and I really encourage you to check out Roger CPA Exam Review. But I want to say passing the CPA was one of the key things that allowed me to be successful when I started. Think about it like this. If you go into your first job and you have to compete with everybody else for bonuses, raises, being able to work on the best clients, right? Being able to work with the best people at the firm, you're competing with all of your coworkers for that opportunity. If you have to go home every night and pound out your CPA exam review, it's going to be tough for you to wake up and be as cheery and excited in the morning. You're not going to have had your weekends off to relax, recharge, and rejuvenate. Speaking of rejuvenating, I'm actually headed to Costa Rica tomorrow, and I'll probably do a video on the importance of relaxing from there. But besides the point, it's huge. It's huge to be able to go home, relax, unplug, have time off. But if you're taking the exam, in addition to working, it's going to be crazy. And the cool thing is, when I was in university, I was taking the exam while I was still in university, and I was working a full-time job, 40 hours a week, doing those 3 things. It was nuts. And when I started in Big 4 public accounting, everyone's like, oh, your life is over, it's going to be crazy. I was like, I got all this free time, I'm not taking classes anymore. I'm not taking the CPA exam. I only have a full-time job. This is great, and it can really be that way. And I think that was a big differentiator for me versus what a lot of the other people did. So that's the first thing you can do while you're still in university. Pass the CPA exam. Find a great review course. Focus. Barrel down. Work nights. Work weekends. Commit yourself to it and make it happen. The second thing I want to talk about is being remarkable. What do I mean by that? Well, it's a competitive industry out there, and people that are listening to the Bean Counter, I'm not interested in you just getting a job. A lot of people could just get a job. I want you to get your dream job. I want you to get the job that you absolutely want. Whatever type of firm, whatever type of company that may be, I refuse to compromise. I don't think you should either. So let's get you the best option that you can get, and let's get you something you really want to do. In order to get the best opportunities, you have to do something to be remarkable. And by that, I mean you have to do something that's different, something that other people aren't doing. You have to stand out from the crowd. Give you an example. I knew a kid who was a blind accounting student. He took all of his courses. He had actually been on the Bean Counter podcast. You can go and listen to it. He took all of his courses, passed all of his exams, and he's blind, right? Functionally blind. That's an incredible thing, right? Now, I'm not telling you should become blind, but I'm just saying that's something that sets the guy apart. He's an incredible guy to have overcome all this. I can't even comprehend what it would be like to do accounting or tax or schoolwork being blind. Amazing story for this kid. That's just one example. Another example, my wife used to be in Beta Alpha Psi. She's also an accountant. She works for one of the large CPA firms in the country. And when she was in university, she did a speech competition, and she won. And the speech competition that she did was based on a community service project where she was an extreme couponer, and she would get like $5 donated and turn it into $1,000 worth of products and donate it away. Turned that into a presentation, went to a conference, presented it, and won at the regional level and the national level, right? That was something that stood out. She's an extreme couponer, and she turned that into a productive thing for community service, for her organization, and she won some big awards for it. That's something that's different. Something that I did when I went through the process was I knew everybody was going in and had a resume and had a cover letter, right? Everybody does that. Well, I created a portfolio. If you go ahead and check out the Bean Counter course, I'll also include the links down below. I strongly encourage you to check it out. There's a lot of great stuff in there, sample resumes, a lot of ebooks, just a lot of stuff that's going to help you going through this whole process. But when I was going through recruiting, I saw everybody had a cover letter, everybody had a resume. Well, if I have a cover letter, I have a resume, I want to stand out somehow. And so I created a portfolio, and it was probably 20 or 30 pages of all my experience. One of the problems I had was explained in my portfolio. I had a low-ish GPA. So I had a 3.23 GPA when I got my first, I think it's summer leadership adventure. And that was low. I mean, the firm that I, started working at had a 3.4 level threshold, and I had a 3.23. So somehow I needed to explain this. Well, I literally created a graph that said first semester, freshman year, 3.08 GPA. Got a little distracted by the distractions. Then the next semester, it was a little bit higher. And then after the first year, I was like, okay, I got to get my crap together. I'm paying my student loans. I'm responsible for doing this. And I really started to kick it into gear after that. But I had an interesting situation where my GPA had gone up every semester. It had gone up every semester since I started at this point in time where I was going through recruiting. So one of the pages in my portfolio, which you'll see if you check out the course, is literally me and the chart of the GPA. Now, you may not have that, but you may have other things you've been involved in, community service events, leadership events on campus, interesting jobs that you may have had. All of those things are fair game for a portfolio, and a picture says 1,000 words. And if you can add 10, 15 pictures, you're talking about 10,000, 15,000 additional words to a resume and a cover letter. It created a lot of value. I didn't push it. Some people weren't interested in it. I would show it. They wouldn't show any interest, and I stopped. But I had that as a differentiating factor, and that's just one idea. You got to find out what it is for you. But if you don't have something different, if you don't have something compelling, you're really going to have a difficult time out there. It's very competitive. The third thing I would say is that you're in university. So you've got some time before you start. I mean, and even if you just started, this advice will still apply. This one, even though it's one of the three you could do before you start, I'll keep it on both. I want you to dream. I want you to dream about the things you can do. The Bean Counter podcast, we have had some incredible people on the show, and we will have some incredible people in the coming weeks that I'm really excited about. We've got the guy who started, I'm interviewing the guy tonight who started a company called Xero. Check it out, Xero.com. That guy's from New Zealand. He started that company, which now is one of the top 20 largest companies in New Zealand. Imagine that, growing up in your country and then starting a company that is one of the top 20 firms, one of the top 20 businesses, all businesses, not just accounting firms, all businesses in that entire country. It's used by over 300,000 businesses, and it's basically an accounting software for small businesses. What an incredible thing. The guy's an accountant. He worked at one of the big four accounting firms back in the day and became an entrepreneur and built one of the largest businesses in his entire country. Imagine accomplishing that. Dream. Dream, dream, dream. You don't have to do the traditional track. Getting the top opportunity doesn't mean what everybody else thinks is the top opportunity. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but there's so many things out there. I mean, I've had bloggers on the podcast. I've had consultants on the podcast. I've had traditional accountants on the podcast, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've had coaches, all people that have a background rooted in accounting that have done new and different and exciting things. Entrepreneurs, technology entrepreneurs. A lot of interesting stuff. Dream. How much money do you want to make? Is where you're working enough? Is your path a path to get the lifestyle that you want? I have a friend of mine who had an accounting background, started a website, moved to Thailand, and now makes way more money than he ever would have made at his past company running a website in Thailand that is related to accounting. That's so cool, right? That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to have a lifestyle, wanted to make money, didn't want to go in and do a job every day, and he doesn't have to. And he makes more money than anybody else that he started with by a landslide, right? Landslide. And these opportunities are possible. The only thing that is holding you back is you. That's literally the only thing. Your own limitations in your own mind are the only thing that are holding you back from taking that next step, whether it be a new job or whether it be doing your own thing, building your own company. Now, before we go on to the next thing, I just want to end off this section with a quote of these first three things. And, for us as humans, there's a quote from Michelangelo, and he said, "For us as humans, the danger is not in setting our goals too high and missing. It's in setting our goals too low and achieving them." And I think that's a fantastic quote. I'm always trying to push the limit, and I would encourage you to do the same, not just because I want to make more money or because I want to have more success, but because I want to do what I really want, right? What my dreams are, right? Not just have a job, right? I got to do this for a large portion of my life, this whole work thing, this whole, making money and being a part of an economy and capitalism. It's like it takes a lot of time, right? We all need to do it because we need to eat, we need to put clothes on our backs. We might as well enjoy the hell out of it. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do, and that's what I'm exactly trying to get you guys to do. So while you have this time, dream. Dream, dream, dream. Now, okay, there we go. Before you start, those are the 3 things I wanted you to think about. Pass the CPA exam. I want you to do something remarkable, and I want you to dream. Now I want to talk about the things that we want to do once we start. This is exciting. I remember when I was, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast, how overwhelming it is when you start your first job. I mean, it was so overwhelming for me. My first internship, I remember coming home and I was still living at university, so I was, in my dorm room, or, they didn't like to call them dorms, residential hall or whatever. I was one of those people that was like an RA and everything, so, you can't call it dorm, you got to call it residential hall because that's where fun things happen. I digress. Okay, so besides the point, I came back from working at an internship, and I was just like, I was so exhausted. There's so many things to learn. I'd never worked in an office before. I'd never dressed up in a suit and gone in there every day. And I was so overwhelmed, and I was so scared that everybody there was smarter than me. Everybody there was better than me. I had my internship at, in the city, but there were people that were going on international internships, and that means, I'm second rate. I thought I was like, good, I'm going to this company, but then I'm not the international guy. I'm second rate. Oh my gosh. There's so many things to consider that are just so overwhelming. And here are 4 things that I would say that were really the keys to me succeeding in that first year of working. The first thing I would say is that you never want to compromise. Get in there and, get your feet wet, right? Get your hands dirty. Don't be afraid to go out and get lunches. Don't be afraid to get dinners. But don't compromise on the important things, particularly your happiness. So if you start at one of these companies, CPA firm, private company, whatever the case may be, and you really aren't enjoying it, you're just down on yourself, you don't like the work, it's not a lot of fun, figure out a way where you can get to something that you want. If it's within the company, do whatever you can to move into that area before you quit. If there's nothing you can do in the company and you really truly believe that, and you got to look yourself in the mirror and say that. I don't care what you tell other people, but you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, there's nothing at this company that I really want to be doing. Yeah, then you quit. I don't care if it's 3 months after you started working. I don't care if it's a year after you started working. You quit because, who wants to give up 6 months of their life for something that they know they're not going to like? What a waste, right? But if you feel like there's something that you want to do it. Don't compromise. I'll give you an example. When I worked in public accounting, they put me on some of these jobs in working with hedge funds. And I really didn't have an interest in that. I wanted to work for manufacturing companies, technology companies, that kind of thing. And also that hedge fund job, the culture of the team really just didn't fit me right. I'm a get in at like 7:30 kind of guy, work hard, be focused, and then leave early and enjoy my life. These were guys that were getting in at like 10 o'clock. They had a foosball table, which a lot of people really loved, right? People thought they were so cool. They have a foosball table at work. I don't care about foosball, right? It's not my thing. I'm not a foosball guy. I'm not a game guy. I'm a working guy. I want to achieve. I didn't want to play. They had a very work-life balance type of thing where we can play at work and work while we're playing, and sort of blurred. And that was great for them. A lot of people loved that. So they would get in at 10, get in at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and leave at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. I wanted to get in at 7:30 and leave at 8 because this is the busy season time of year, right? So you got to work a little extra hours. And I was miserable. I didn't like the industry. I didn't like the client. I didn't like the team. Nothing personally against anybody, just not my style of group of people, not my way of working. And so I went to HR. I went to my coach, the person that was sort of assigned to, grow me, the little baby bird that I was. And I didn't say, you got to change me or else I'm going to quit. I didn't say that, of course. But I said, listen, I got to be honest. I want to be happy here. I want to work here. I want to be a part of this organization. But I really don't enjoy what I'm doing here. When I was on that, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. But I didn't enjoy this. And I'm not telling you that if I don't get this, I'm going to quit. Obviously, I'm here because I'm young. I'm trying to put my time in, trying to pay my dues. But I think the best option is that you get someone who's going to be on this job for the coming years, not just this year and want to go on something else. You get someone for the long term. That's number one. And number two, I am the most productive when I'm happy and excited about what I'm doing. So you're putting me over here, and I'm kind of being second rate. I'm trying to drag myself along, but it's hard because it's just not my main thing. It's not what I really want to do and what I really want to be. And so I'm not giving up. I'm not sabotaging. I'm not doing anything to work against the firm or anything like that. I'm still trying hard. I just know that I'm not putting my best foot forward because I know it's not what I really want to do. And that worked. I mean, I don't know that it'll work for everybody, but that worked. And in a matter of, I was supposed to be on that job for about 6 months. And in a matter of about 4 to 5 weeks, I was on something completely different and I never went back. And they heard me. And that was because I was genuine. And I didn't try to tell them, hey, this is what I deserve. I showed them why this is what they would want to do. And it worked out super well. I got on all these other clients and all these different industries that I really enjoyed. It led to getting promoted early. Typically, you get promoted 3 years. I got promoted in 2 years. And it was a huge difference. It was a huge difference, the fact that I stood up for myself and did that. Now, if I'd have just kept my head down and worked hard and compromised and said, oh, I'm young, I'm new, I don't deserve to call my own shots and all that crap, then I would have been miserable and I probably wouldn't have got promoted early and maybe I would have quit before I even would have got promoted. Who knows? So the first thing when you start is remember, never compromise. Probably making you think about it a little differently than you've thought about it before, but do not compromise. And then the second thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to squeeze this one in. I know I said we had 4 things when you start talking, but I want to squeeze this one in. So we're actually going to have 5 now. So first one is never compromise. The second one is find a partner that you love and who makes you better. Find a partner that you love who makes you better. So for me, that's my wife, right? And when I say partner, I don't mean, auditor, tax partner or anything like that. I mean a partner, right? Husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other. Find a partner who makes you better. That has been the single most empowering aspect of my work is my personal relationship with my wife. I mean, she has totally been a driving force for all of the good things that have happened at work. Now, I didn't marry her because I'm like, how can I be better at work? I got to get this girl. No, I didn't say that. But it sort of worked out that way, and I sort of stumbled into that. She helped me my whole time working in industry in public accounting, totally helped me gain up the courage and the confidence and the wherewithal to quit my job and become an entrepreneur, which I've been doing for the last 9 months. And I've made way more money now as an entrepreneur than I would have made had been in my job. And she saw that I could do that. She saw that I was ripe for that and believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself when I was when I was working in public accounting and when I was on the outside. And so find someone you love who makes you better, somebody who really supports you, who really believes in you, and who can really be there to not just be, sugarcoat everything and just be a yes man, but who can be a real person in your life, who can confront you when you need it, who can bring up good ideas, who can support you, and who can be there to see you through the tough times and through the difficult challenges ahead. I mean, you're in the early stages of a long career. But finding someone early on, I think, can make a huge difference. I'm so happy I didn't wait 5 or 10 years. Everybody now, I see all these articles online. It's like, why the 20s are for you to be on your own and explore things. Nonsense. If I was 35 years old and I got married then, and then at the end of my life, I die, I'd be like, I wish I could have 5 extra years with my wife. Don't you think that would be nice, right? I mean, or 10 extra years with my wife. Don't you think that'd be nice? I certainly think so. So find a partner who you love that makes you better. That's good for you, but it's also good for business. Now, the last 3 things I want to end off with are things that I always used to say in the conferences and in universities that I used to give this presentation at. And they are a little 3 combo. And these are the 3 principles that I want you to cement in yourself when you're going through this whole process of this first job. I want you to have enthusiasm, curiosity, and don't be weird. And I'm going to explain each of those right now. So enthusiasm. Every day when you come in, right, you meet clients, you meet people that you work with, you meet other people in the business, you meet people from other businesses that you might be trying to sell on work, might be trying to network with, might be trying to get another job over there, whatever the case may be. Try to bring a level of enthusiasm to that. And I found a trick. I actually read a Steve Jobs quote, which I'll insert here yesterday, which was, and those of you that don't know Steve Jobs, old CEO and founder of Apple, he said something like, he only lives this life once, and if which was an incredibly empowering notion to him, that he's only going to be able to live this one time. And every day when he got up and he asked himself, am I excited about what I'm doing today? If he said no too many days in a row, then he would change, he would make a drastic change. And while I don't necessarily have a routine where I get up in front of the mirror every day and say, Andrew, do you love what you're doing today? I do ask myself that on a consistent basis, and it is a requirement for me that I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It's a huge requirement. And I'm willing to go through a tremendous amount of short-term pain to obtain a lifestyle and a position in a job or a company that I love, that I'm passionate about, that I'm enthusiastic about. So here's the trick. The trick about enthusiasm is that you have to realize that nothing Nothing at all is required to be done. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to finish watching this video, although I think you should. You don't have to finish watching this video. You don't have to, go to work tomorrow. You really don't. You can call in sick. You can take a vacation day. You can literally quit your job by never showing up ever again. I'm not advocating that, but I'm just saying you literally can. I mean, I know people that have done it that just disappear. You can do anything. There are always consequences for your actions, yes, but it doesn't really matter. There have been multiple times in my life where I've picked up and just left and gone to do new things, whether that be from a job perspective, whether that be from a whole life perspective. Everything's going to be okay. You can do drastic things, or you can do nothing. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to pay off your student loan debt. You don't have to pay off your credit card debt, although I would advocate doing that. I'm certainly work to pay off my student loan debt. But you don't have to do anything. There's always consequences, but keep that in mind. Everything you do is a choice. You don't have to do it. Everything you choose to do is your choice above all other options that you could have chosen. It's your choice. You can work at this company, you can have this job, you can go out on your own, you can work for another company, you can be with this girlfriend, this boyfriend, you can be with somebody else. Anything and everything is your complete and total choice. And when you start to realize that you've chosen what you're doing now, what I'm doing today, I'm doing this video right now. I've chosen to do this video above all other things I could have chosen to do right now. And there's an interesting level of enthusiasm that comes with that when you get that real mental realization that's like, yeah, I don't have to. I can keep deferring these things. I can never do them. I could pick up my job right now, close everything down, and move to Thailand just like that friend I told you about earlier. And he makes way more money than he did here. He took a chance like that and did something different. So don't whine, don't complain about what you're doing because you've chosen it above all other things. Now, once you realize this, if you realize, oh crap, I'm doing the wrong thing, yeah, quit and move on and do something else. But the way you get enthusiasm is by realizing that what you're doing right now is what you've really chose over everything else in your life. That's the key. That's the trick. The next thing is curiosity. So we've got enthusiasm, curiosity, don't be weird. Now we're at curiosity. And this is important, not in the way you might think, okay, be curious about accounting, be curious about your company, be curious about your clients, yes. But I want you to be really curious about the people that you're working with. Ask them questions. What'd you do this weekend? Where'd you go to university? Where are you from? What did you study? What other clients have you worked on? How long have you been at the firm? What kind of jobs did you have when you were in college? When those things come up and they're appropriate, when you're going out to lunch and sitting with somebody, when you're walking with them, when you're in the elevator with them, have a conversation. Be curious about who they are and what they're doing. People respect that. It's not manipulative. It's not, you're not putting on a front. These are people who have ended up in the same area of the world and of the stage of life that you're in. It's kind of interesting how they got there too, right? I mean, isn't that sort of a curious thing? Who are these people? Who am I being associated with? Who's achieving at the same level I am? Am I comfortable with that? All those types of things come in. So you ask them what they're doing on a consistent basis. Every time you get the opportunity to ask somebody, be ready to just rail off the questions. That will serve you so much when you're talking about building a brand in an organization, when you're talking about going for promotion, because in order to get a promotion, you really have to build a consensus. It's the same thing when you go through recruiting. You have to build a consensus. If anybody at the company says, I did not like Andrew Argue because he made this comment and said that he did not like this person who is a good friend of mine at university, and I think it was really unprofessional of him to say that. It just takes one person to say, no, I don't agree with this individual, and you're done. You're done. Most of the time, you're done. So you need to build a consensus, and the way to do that is to build trust with all these people. And the best way I know to do that is to get to know them. Ask them a ton of questions. Be curious about them. I also want you to be curious about your profession. You've chosen this. You need to think not just about why you're ticking and tying this spreadsheet, but as best you can. And it's hard because we're young. We're taught to think about details, but getting your head above, thinking about the business, thinking about the industry from a bigger perspective, thinking about why things are happening, why you're doing things. If you're okay with that. Those are all important too, don't get me wrong. But curiosity and what I'm really talking about and where you can see the real personal returns in the first few years is get to know everybody you work with and talk to them on a consistent basis and get curious about who they really are. And the last one is don't be weird. This one is so interesting. It's almost like, I don't even know if you can teach this, right? But just don't be weird. I remember, and I always tell this story because it's just like, Why does this have to happen? Why do things like this have to happen? It's so awkward. So we were sitting, I was traveling for one of my very first clients. I think this was my second client working in public accounting. And we were all traveling. And we went down to work, and we were in this conference room. There was 5 of us or so. And one woman there, no joke, we're all sitting there, working away. Okay, working, okay, this is so interesting. And I'm learning new things. And this woman started making donkey noises. I don't know why that would happen. I don't know what would possess someone to say, yep, right now I'm going to start sounding like a donkey. I mean, kind of like this. Oh, what is that? What is that? And everyone's like, what was that? But nobody wants to say anything because it's really awkward. And the same woman sort of is sitting at her desk facing the wall, and she turns around, puts her suitcase down, kicks her feet up on it, and puts her laptop. And so she's sort of facing the center of the room, working on her laptop, and then making donkey noises. And she kind of continually made them for this day or two period. I don't know if someone ever said something to her, but, just weird stuff like that. I think I liked the girl a lot, to be honest. I thought she was nice. She was interesting. I actually still talk to her to this day. I wonder if she's ever seen me, on some of these podcasts and videos make reference to that. It'd be kind of funny. We haven't actually never talked about it, but, it would be kind of funny. And I like her, but just avoid those things because a lot of people can't handle that. For me, I'm not going to totally write you off and think you're a kook or anything. Maybe eventually, but, I didn't with this woman in the beginning. A lot of things, she had a lot of good things about her, a lot of nice things that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed working with her. But a lot of other people were just very freaked out and like, why is this person so weird? Another good trait. I don't think there's anything wrong with office romance, right? I think you go in there. I mean, you meet a ton of people that are like-minded, doing similar things, have similar work balances. You're bound to meet somebody. I'm totally pro office romance, if you will, even though I didn't date anybody at my company when I worked in public accounting. But I'm pro office romance. But I will say, if you're going to do office romance and you want to be taken seriously at the company, try your best. I know this is so hard. This is so hard for some of you. Try your best to just keep it to like one person. Okay, maybe 2 people. But when you start to go 4, 5, 6 people that we're having office romances with, that's not going to be good. That's not going to be good. That's something that, your respect is really going to go downhill quick. Man or woman, it doesn't really matter. I mean, people are not going to respect it. Even if you're a guy and you think, yeah, I'm a guy and, this is cool. I can, be with all these women. Not cool, bro. Not cool. Totally going to be a strike against you. It's going to make you seem immature. It's going to make you seem like you can't be trusted. And frankly, people are just going to lose respect for you. I have no problem with you being with whoever you want in your personal life. I could care less. I'm just telling you the facts of how everybody else feels and what they all think. I mean, I care about people doing hard and great work. To me, all the rest of this stuff is sort of secondary when we're talking about working together in a job. But not everybody feels that way. People talk, word spreads, all of a sudden, that's what you're identified as, and that's a real shame. But those are some examples of not being weird. I mean, I could go on and on today about all the different things I saw when I was working in public accounting, and even now, I mean, there are weird people out there. That doesn't mean don't take chances, don't be bold. But take chances and be bold, take bold action in a meaningful and in a productive way. That way, when you stand out, it's like, damn, that was crazy, that was awesome, that was so cool, like, I wish I would have thought of that, or that person has such courage and such bravery to do that. That's how you want to be remembered. That's how you want to stand out. Not like, oh, that was just bizarre, You don't want to be remembered for that stuff. So, thank you guys so much for listening to this video. I mean, I think this is an incredibly complex topic. I kept it to about 30 minutes. Like I said, it's normally about an hour. But let's just recap. Before you start, I want you to pass the CPA exam. I want you to do something remarkable. And then I want you to dream. That's really what I want you to do before you're starting. And I know I said 4 in the beginning, but I really snuck one in there with the partner. I want you to, number 1, never compromise. Never compromise. Now, remember, that doesn't mean don't get coffees, don't get lunches, but don't compromise on the big and the important things, and certainly don't compromise your happiness. I want you to find a partner who you love that makes you better. That's such an important thing. And then the last 3 are, I want you to be enthusiastic, I want you to be curious, and I don't want you to be weird. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel down below. Now, if you are on the Beancounter website, go ahead and click onto YouTube, subscribe to the channel. I would hugely appreciate it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you have any questions for me, you can reach me at andrew@thebeancounter.org. I look forward to talking with you all soon. Have a great rest of your week.